Hi guys, welcome to today's video. As you can see, don't have any makeup on today yet, but we're going to fix that in just a second. We're going to do a get ready with me as I prepare for getting ready to go to a photo shoot. I'm really excited. I have a lot of products that I want to play with and just put on and create a fall look for you guys. So you'll be seeing these photos very soon, probably in a couple weeks. I'm going to start posting them on Instagram, so be sure to follow at Natalie Erin Beauty to see this look in action and how it applies on camera. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks if you are doing a photo shoot, so be sure to give this video a thumbs up, like and comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos, and we are just going to jump straight into this fall makeup tutorial. Alright, so first I'm going to start by priming, and I find that priming is a very important part of a photo shoot because if you're getting photos up really close to your face, you want to make sure your skin looks nice. At least I do, so I'm not going to generalize it for everybody. But for me, I personally like my pores blurred out and my face to look nice and glowy. So I'm actually going to do something I call double priming, which is great. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to use the Benefit Porefessional Primer first. Just going to take a little tiny bit of that on my fingers, and then I'm going to put it all over my areas where I have pores, and that's specifically like my nose and the areas like a little bit like underneath my eyes right here. Those tend to have the biggest pores, so I want to fill them in so that my skin is nice and smooth for any kind of photography that's going to be just really close to my face. Alright, so my pore filling primer is applied and done. Now I'm going to take a more luminous primer, and that is the Glamglow Glowstarter Mega Illuminating Moisturizer, and they have a couple of different shades. So this one is in Nude Glow is what it's called, and I have a couple of these because I was sent them in my lovely Ipsy packages that I love so much, and I really enjoy this product. It gives a really nice glow to the skin. I think for photography especially, it can be really flattering because it makes your face look a little more luminous and alive. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of apply this in the center of my face, and then all around the outsides. I try and avoid like the super porous areas, like the sides of my nose and like right here, just because I find that I don't want to draw too much attention to those areas just because they're full of pores and it's not my favorite thing to draw attention to, so I'd rather give my face an overall luminous effect. Alright, so next I'm going to be using an Hourglass foundation. This is the Vanish Stick Foundation. I have the shade Alabaster. It's one of the lightest shades. I personally love this foundation because it's super mess free. It's easy to take with you on the go, like especially for touch-ups to photo shoot. If you're needing to do any of that sort of thing, this is really good for that because you don't have to like put it on your hand or on anything. You can just like open it up, twist it, and then go straight from here with the brush and do any touch-ups. But also this foundation looks really good on camera with photography, so this is something I like to use. I will say, if you're using this foundation, you definitely want to make sure it's blended in all the way because it can catch onto little like spots on your face if you're not careful. So be sure to just use small amounts. I know some people like to streak it on their face first, and sometimes I do that, but I find that if you put it on the brush first and then you apply it, it works into your skin a lot more easily and you're able to just kind of get a nice overall finish. So that's what I'm going to do with this foundation. If you're looking for more of an alternative option, I know that the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Stick Foundation is also a really good one. I personally haven't tried it, but I've heard good things about it. So if this one is too expensive for your budget, that's totally fine. Go with the Wet n Wild one from the drugstore. I think it's only like $6 or $7, whereas this one's $45, I believe. So that's a bit of a price difference, but you can still get a really nice look for your photo shoots, and that line I know is specifically designed for photos because it's Photo Focus foundation, so it should apply really nicely and also appear really nice in photos. When you're buffing this foundation in, I like to go in circular motions and like pat it rather than like streak it all over. I find that it works into the skin a lot nicer and you're not left with any kind of funky spots or any spots that you missed. Also make sure you're bringing it down the neck, because if ever you want to like change your hair for the photo shoot and you want to put it up, all of this is exposed, so you really want to make sure you're bringing the foundation down. I wouldn't necessarily recommend like going right back in and putting more like foundation, like streaking it down here, because that might look a little crazy, especially like if you miss a spot, you'll have like a huge streak. But if you want to just use like the excess and kind of bring it down onto like a little bit of your ears and all the way down your neck and around, that would be a good tip. Also, if you're wearing like a low cut shirt, just make sure your foundation matches not only like your body but also your neck and like this chest area right here, because it can look a little crazy in photos if your face doesn't match the rest of your body at all. So if you're more tan and your face is more light, then you can use bronzer and kind of bring it all around and down to even everything out. But you just really want to make sure it's like a whole cohesive unit. Alright, so next is concealer. I'm going to be taking this Maybelline Fit Me Concealer on little spots where I have blemishes, and then I'm going to be using this Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer by It Cosmetics for my under eye area, because this shade really brightens them up. So a tip with photos, I highly recommend getting a shade that's exactly your skin tone to put on any blemishes that you have, and then a shade lighter for under your eyes, just because it'll brighten it a tiny bit under your eyes. Don't use a shade that's lighter than your skin tone for your blemishes, because in photos it's going to be highlighted and you probably don't want that. So just a little tip for you. You might look like an Indian in the beginning, but once it's all blended out, it'll look really nice, especially in the final photos. My eyes just started watering, which is just great, but ignore the redness over here. Another great tip is to go all over the liquid makeup with a beauty blender. So this one, I should say it's beauty sponge, because this is the one by Physicians Formula, and I am just going all over and blending it in just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I think this is a good step just to be sure that everything is blended in nicely and you're not missing any crucial piece to your liquid makeup. Okay, so I went ahead and turned the brightness down for my camera so you can kind of see like what my face looks like more on a natural level. I mean, there's still some artificial light coming this way, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a better idea. I have like some red marks here. That's because I was wearing my glasses just to make sure that I was in focus. But this is kind of what the foundation is looking like right now. I am going to set it pretty quickly just because I don't want anything to crease. So I'm going to take my Makeup Forever HD High Definition powder. This is the translucent shade. Now, I love this powder. It does not provide me any specific coverage, obviously, because it's translucent. But we got some steam. Oh, there it goes. Now there's powder all over my floor. Awesome. Alright, anyways, so I'm just going to take this and just lightly dust it specifically under my eyes, just because it gives a nice brightening effect in the cameras, but it's not overly excessive. It also sets the it sets the liquid really nicely right under my eyes. And I'm just going to do a light dusting of this all over, but I'm going to go over it a little bit with a powder that has a little bit more coverage, just so that I have some nice even coverage across. Alright, I'm going to set a little bit more with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. This time I'm going to be taking that damp Physicians Formula sponge and just... Alright, I'm not sure when my camera decided to turn off, but it did, so I'm going to check the footage, but I'm just going to kind of reiterate what I did since I think it cut off. I put on some Maybelline Fit Me loose powder and I let that bake, and then I did my eyebrows with the LA, where was it? Oh, the LA Shady Slim Brow Definer. or brow pencil, and then I also use the e.l.f. Brow Gel, and I was saying that if you use a brow gel, then it helps keep your brows in place, especially when you're changing clothes with when it comes to photo shoots, but I don't know how much of that actually got filmed, so that's depressing. But it's now filming, so that's what matters. I'm wiping off the loose finishing powder that I was baking with, and I'm going to move on to eyes. So good thing I checked that my camera was recording, but that's a bummer. I'm still learning all of this fancy technology stuff, so it's a learning process, but it's okay. This is the Covergirl Lid Locket Primer, I believe is what it's called. This stuff is really great. Highly recommend an eyeshadow primer. This one especially is fantastic. You will not experience any of your eyeshadow creasing. I think that this is something that you should really invest in. Also, Essence has a primer if you don't want to spend as much money. It's only a couple of dollars, and this one I think is about $12. That one's only like $4, so they last really long because you only need such a little amount of it. I think that this one is definitely better than the Essence one, but overall it does the same thing. It's going to keep your eyeshadow on longer than it would stay on if you didn't have that primer. Alright, so this is something for photo shoots that I think is extremely, extremely important. You should set your primer with a shade that is very similar to, if not the same, as your skin tone. And this can be done with your powder even that you use that has pigmentation to it, or an eyeshadow. And the reason I say this is because specifically for me, but I know for most people there's like some pigmentation on their eyes, which isn't bad and that's totally natural. But when it comes to photo shoots, it can offset the colors and like it can offset the color scheme that you're going for, just because you might have like some purples or blues poking through on your eyelids, and if you want to do like a warm toned look, that's not going to go well. So specifically for me, this is something I always do, even on like an everyday basis. I always set like my eyelids with a shade that's similar to my skin tone, just because I would like it to all look cohesive. So I'm going to take this Coulorpop Double Entendre palette, and I used this palette in my very first makeup tutorial, which was kind of cool. I mean, it was a really long time ago when I was just first starting out, and then I took a really long break from YouTube because I was like, nah, it's fine. But then I wanted to come back to it, so here I am. I'm going to take this shade right here. It's kind of like this natural, I don't know, transition shade is probably what they would call it. It's not necessarily a cream, it's like a really light brown, and I'm just going to fluff that all over my eyes with this brush by Luxie Cosmetics. I zoomed you guys in so you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. I'm just taking that shade all around the lid and fluffing it. These Coulorpop eyeshadows are really nice. They're not very expensive. They're affordable. I really like them. I think they're kind of stiffer than the average eyeshadow I would go for. Usually I like eyeshadows that are more like buttery. These ones are definitely going to be more stiff. So they're kind of harder to work with, but they do blend out really nicely, so it's a little bit of a trade-off. It's like, are you willing to, you know, blend a little bit harder to get them to work, or would you rather just spend your money on things that are a little more smooth? It's personal preference. I personally am like, well, as long as an eyeshadow works, that's all I really want. So it's up to you for sure, but for me, I would prefer a little more buttery eyeshadows, and I don't know, I haven't tried too much from Coulorpop, but this is kind of one of the ones that I had the most first experiences with, so that's why I'm using it. Okay, turn the brightness up so you can see like how the eyes are looking in a more artificial light. Just trying to see if you guys can understand the differences between natural light and photography light. It's going to be different, so you kind of want to play around with the lighting in your house and wherever you're getting ready, just to see how your makeup can kind of transform depending on the light that you are around. So it's also a good thing to do when you're getting ready for a photo shoot, just so that you can see like the more practicality of what your photos are going to look like. So because this look is definitely more of a fall look, I know I started with a warm tone, but that's just because it kind of matched more of my skin tone like I talked about, but I'm going to actually go in more of like the taupey fall looking direction because that's what the photo shoot is about. So I'm going to take this Wet n Wild palette. It's very beat up because I use it so much. This is the Rosé in Air palette, and I'm going to take this transition shade right here, and I know that usually people would use it like just in their crease or whatever, but I'm actually going to be using it all over just to kind of give it more of that taupey eye look. I'm really trying to take that shade and blend it on top but also kind of out. I know for my eye shape it kind of looks nice when there's a more like elongated looking eyeshadow, so it's kind of about what works for your eye shape and what do you like in photos. For me, I like more of like the sharper winged-ish kind of look, but you definitely want to be aware, don't get any like harsh edges unless you're having like a winged liner, or maybe if you're doing like more of a, I don't know, editorial look, then you can do that. But just be aware of what the look is that you're trying to go for. If you want it to be nice and blended and smoked out, then make sure your eyeshadow reflects that. I think that sometimes people forget that they might be changing outfits, so you want to make sure that your eye look goes with every single outfit that you're going to go with. And this is easy to do with a nice basic eye, like neutral kind of shades, and then you can kind of switch out the lip color as you go, but I would recommend just doing a nice look that has neutral shades just so that it can go with different kinds of outfits you have. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to hit it up just a notch with this Magnetic Matte Eye Color by Nudestick. It is called Taupe, which is very, very important to this look. I love this Nudestick thing. I think it's amazing. It's great for really easy on the go makeup, but also to amp up your eye look on an everyday basis. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to take this, where is it? This angled eye brush and just put it specifically on like the upper lash line and then the lower lash line, and smoke it out a little bit just to give some more smokiness to my look, because that's what I like in photo shoots. I think it suits me the best, so that's what I'm going to do. So now I got a really grungy looking eye look, and I look a little crazy like I've been hit maybe with a baseball bat in my eye, but it's going to all look beautiful, I promise. I'm going to just go over it a little bit more with this taupe shade from the Wet n Wild palette just to make sure that it's all set in place, because with creams you really want to set them and make sure they're not going anywhere. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to do on my eyes before I put mascara on is line it a little bit with this Ulta Gel Eyeliner Pencil in Plum. And it can be a little bit like hard to work with this one, but I love the shade of it. Like if I found a shade of this maybe in a more easier pencil, I would go with that one, but this shade is thebomb.com. I love the way it makes my eyes look, and it's perfect for fall and for like this taupey-ish look. So I'm going to go ahead and put this under my lash line up here and my lower lash line. Alright, so as you can see, it kind of just gives a nice, really purpley, smokily, that's a new word, huh? Purpley, smoky look, and I love it. So I'm going to do my mascara now. I'm going to curl my lashes with the Shiseido eyelash curler, and I'm going to be using this Monsieur Big Lancome mascara. It is my absolute favorite mascara. It's not waterproof unless you get the waterproof version. Let's just be real on that, that's for sure. So I really want to make sure my eyelashes are curled. This is my absolute favorite part of doing my makeup and getting ready for photo shoots. I sometimes will curl them like 2 or 3 times. It's pretty intense. Curled them twice. My eyes are watering a little bit. I've been a little sick recently, which is not fun. But I'm going to let them kind of dry out before I put my mascara on, because otherwise we're going to have raccoon eyes, especially with this look, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to kind of let them dry, and then I'll put them on. Alright, so next I'm going to leave you guys zoomed in because I feel like you guys can actually see my face and what I'm doing. I'm going to be using some bronzer, and now I'm going to be using this Tarte Amazonian Clay Palette Volume 2. It has a beautiful bronzer in here. I'm just going to use a smidge because sometimes it looks a little too orange for me, and we're not going for like a beachy look, we're going for like fall. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just kind of lightly graze and go all over on my neck and a little bit over here. Just a smidge. And then also on the other side. And then after that, I'm going to be taking this Physicians Formula Butter Blush. This is in the shade Plum Rose. I was really having a difficult time because most of my blushes are like beautiful pinky shades or like corally shades, but I'm like, it's the fall. I need a taupey shade, so thank goodness I had this one. It's kind of a very neutral blush, so it will go with a lot of different looks. And I actually like using this Eco Tools brush. It's kind of fanned out with the blush and actually highlighter. This brush is really one of my favorites of all times. I think it is so nice for blush and highlighter. So I'm just kind of putting it right up here and blending that out. Just like any normal blush. It's nothing too crazy. Also, I will say you really want to amp it up with the blush if you're fair like me. The blush and the bronzer for photo shoots because they won't show up if you don't have it nicely packed on there. So you want to make sure that you're really putting a little extra than you would in person, which might look a little crazy while you're walking around, but it'll pay off in the end, I promise. As you can see, I have that artificial light on, and I'm really amping it up because you can't really tell, especially with more neutral blushes, that it's even on my face. So really that should speak volumes. I'm like going in heavy and like, I mean, yeah, you can tell it's better, but it's hard to tell sometimes with photos. So that's kind of a universal rule, is when you're doing photo shoots, you always want your makeup to be more intense than you would in like a natural day. Alright, so we're getting down to the wire, guys. I'm going to be using this Pure Essence Nude Highlighter. This one is a very neutral highlighter. It doesn't have color that leans like too much to the champagne side or too much to the gold side. It's just a very neutral highlighting shade. So I'm going to be using this right on the cheekbones where it should go to give me a nice glow factor. As you can see, it's just got like a really nice glow to it. There's nothing too crazy about it, but it definitely gives you some glow, which that's what I like. I'm also going to put a smidge bitty little tiny amount in my inner corner. That's a really nice way to just kind of brighten up your eye, and also under the brow bone I'm going to do that. Alright, you guys, so we are at the final stages. I zoomed you out so that I could do some lips, and I wanted you guys to see like how everything was looking all together. I'm going to be taking this Essence lip liner. This is the soft contouring lip liner in number 11 Sucker. It's a very like purpley plummy shade. It matches really nicely with my shirts and the other outfits I'm going to be wearing. Now again, you can always use extra lip products and kind of like switch them out. I would recommend doing like some reds and some neutrals. This is a good one that I'm going to start with, and then I can easily take it off with like a makeup wipe at the end of the shoot because I'm going to switch it up a little bit just so that I have some variety in my photos. So I'm just going to take this and line the lips like any normal liner. Okay, so now we are all lined, and my lips look like a completely different color, but that's okay. They're really matching nicely, I think, with the dress, especially with this lipstick I'm going to put on top. This is a very nice, it kind of looks orange in the photo, but I promise it's more matchy to my dress. And I'm just going to apply this on top. It's the Revlon lipstick in 463 Sassy Mauve. Alright, so I put the lipstick on. I think it's looking really nice. I will say in the camera the eyeshadow is looking a smidge orange, and in person it looks definitely more taupe, But this is important because if I'm taking flash photography and I'm filming on a camera, I want to make sure that everything is looking like I want it to look in person, because that's like how you did your makeup, so you want it to look like that on camera. So I'm just going to be taking more of that taupe shade from the Wet n Wild and just putting it more where I find that the orange is poking through. I think next time, or even for your guys' knowledge, if you would just do like a strictly cream base, that might be helpful. But I know that I'm going to be using some orange in the photo shoot, so I wanted to still tie it in to the eye look, but definitely don't want it to look orange at all in the photos. So I'm just gonna fix that real quick. It's always good to assess the situation when you're done doing your makeup in any circumstance, just to make sure that everything looks how you want it to. Alright, all, so there you go. It's looking way more taupey and fall than I wanted it to. So last step in my makeup, I'm going to be doing a nice setting spray. I'm going to take the MAC Fix Plus just to spray it. Make sure it lasts all day long. I will say I just kind of like sprayed my hair, which probably isn't good, but it's okay. We'll re-straighten it because now it's wet, which is awesome. I'm going to take that little beauty blender and just kind of press everything in to make it all nice and wonderfully cohesive. That's my word. Be cohesive, all. You don't want it to look crazy for a photo shoot, that's for sure. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe before you leave. I hope you enjoyed this fall makeup tutorial slash get ready with me slash photo shoot tips and tricks, kind of like a whole video in one. I liked making these videos as jam-packed with information as possible. Hopefully you found it helpful and found some things that you can apply when you are taking your photos next time. Alright guys, I will see you all next Saturday. Have a great week.